Okay, so hi everyone, welcome again to Pathfinder-UK. We're up in the Burrows now, Broughton Burrows, just outside Barnstaple in North Devon, and this is a place where I come with, as part of my tracking courses. Having taught people to track in the woods, I then bring them down here and we do a slightly different way of tracking down here. It's really good for showing the pressure releases and that they experience in the woods and understanding how they work. Which really brings me on to the subject, because this is going to be my first video now on tracking, and what I'd like to cover with you today is three stories really, and I'm going to try and roll them into one. I'm working with young boys who have Asperger's and ADHD, and I'm going to share with you the stories I experienced with them when we came down to the Burrows to do tracking. The first one I'd like to share with you was we were out here, 4 or 5 of us young kids with a member of staff in support, and what I decided to do, I asked the member of staff to head off through the dunes and lay a trail for me, and every so often I wanted him to kind of put in a critical point, what I call a critical point, which is really just to kind of stop, maybe look around and tell a little story in the sand. And the idea was that myself and the kids would follow along later, and as they spotted these critical points, we would then discuss what they felt or thought might have happened on the ground. You know, what was the story being told by the member of staff. Now that member of staff also was sent off to hide somewhere, and the idea was for us to track him and find him in hiding. So off he went, and we gave him a 5-10 minute lead, and then we followed on nice and slow afterwards, and we came to a point where in the dunes the track kind of really narrowed, and it came to a very damp area where there was lots of foul track. The foul track is basically where loads of tracks cross over in one spot, and now for me personally, I could actually see where the member of staff had gone down, so his trail going down through the muddy area and back out the other side. And we followed that, we came out the other side. We'd only got about, I don't know, 10 yards or so, and the young lads with Asperger's turned around and said, well, hang on a minute, Jeff, we're actually on the wrong trail here. I said, well, no, we've got the same boot tread here. And he pointed out to me, no, actually, it might still be the same boot tread, but it's actually a size smaller. All right, okay, so what we done, we got down and we measured it. We went back to the other side of the foul track area. We measured that footprint as well, and lo and behold, it was the same boot tread, but it was actually smaller. So how random is that, you know, following a trail and somebody with the same tread happens to be going in the same direction. So I posed the question, I said, okay then, so if this isn't the member of staff that we're looking for, which way did he go? And this young lad said, well, he went left from that muddy pool. And I said, well, how do you know that? He says, well, I can see his tracks. So we went back to the muddy pool, and all I saw was just loads of tracks going through the mud, human tracks and animal tracks, dog tracks and what have you. So he said, well look, he came in here and he went out there, and we turned left and we went over a little rise on the dune, and sure enough there was his trail again, and we picked it up and we followed him, and we actually found the member of staff hiding. But that really fascinated me. I was like, how could he tell that he had gone that way? And you know, it was amazing that he could distinguish between the two sizes of boot print as well. And then it was only like I don't know, about a week or so later, maybe a bit more, I'm not sure, where I was watching some videos on YouTube and I came across one, and unfortunately I don't remember the lady's name, but when I find it I'll put it up on the site, where she was talking about Asperger's and autism, and she was saying, and she'd been in autism herself, so she was sharing her experiences, and she was telling people the story that that people with Asperger's kind of like horses seeing pictures. So for example, if you imagine the Red Cross, where most of us would see the actual Red Cross itself, if that Red Cross was made up of hundreds of little Red Crosses, what she was suggesting was that this young lad with Asperger's would see all the little Red Crosses. And I was like, ah, okay, well now that makes sense in relation to what we were doing on the dunes a few weeks previous. him seeing the member of staff's track going into the mud and then turning left, he was seeing all the little red crosses, so his tracks lit up like a light bulb, whereas for me all I could see was the mud pool and not the little red crosses, if you like. So that was really fascinating, and it just kind of led me to loads of other questions. You know, what else could somebody with Asperger's or autism or anything else, what else could they actually contribute towards tracking, let's say, or even bushcraft skills? So I just found that really fascinating. That's intrigued me ever since, and it's something that I'd like to continue to explore, and I'd really like to, if I may, offer that to you as a form of, you know, like a question for you to go and explore yourself if you happen to know somebody with, you know, ADHD or Asperger's. So, and if you do explore it, I'd love to have your feedback on that and find out what your experiences are, because obviously for me that was one encounter. It's not kind of set in stone, but I just found it quite mind-blowing, and I just kind of thought, it'd be interesting to explore, you know, this in terms of tracking this a little bit further. So that was that story really, and I just that's kind of stayed with me for a long time. And as you can see in the dunes, it's a really lovely place to bring the kids to go tracking. And what I discovered was that their attention span lasted a lot longer while we were out here. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to move off to a slightly different area in the dunes, and I'll share another story with you of how the boys behaved around a single footprint. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far, and we'll catch you up in a moment, okay?